Let's go ahead. Can someone, I'm going to ask you to leave.
And they should not be up at the mic speaking, voting, or anything else.
There is a lot for us to discuss right now, and that is what I am doing.
I want to take this quick moment and just acknowledge the work of the activist communities, of the work of the anti-fascists who are on the front lines against hate day in and day out, against the violence that they're unleashing in our communities.
Now, I very quickly want to outline a few things, because this weekend is about what an NDP government would look like.
The NDP were too busy arguing over microaggressions and wasting their time announcing their pronouns to pass any real policy plans at their latest convention in Hamilton. And as a parent, I think we should be glad for that. I'll explain. But I watched the sideshow, so you didn't have to.
Okay, so now we're back.
Did you know the NDP National Convention was this weekend in Hamilton, Ontario, the third party which relegated itself to a pathetic fate as the Socialist Caucus of the Federal Liberal Party of Canada met to decide their vision for Canada's fate and future. And it was everything you imagined and more. For example, just look at their safety protocols. Accessibility features offered at the convention this year. A quiet room with a HEPA air purifier. So if you've been triggered by something that somebody said, you can go in the quiet room and then also satiate your extreme left-wing hypochondria at the very same time. It's in room 204 in case you get lost. There was special speaking priority for gender equity. So ladies and members of the LGBT community got priority speaking. White males back of the line.
We have equity speaking rules at this convention. If you identify with a gender other than man and you would like to identify for priority speaking, please have your yellow card with you.
There was mask and hand sanitizer readily available, again, for that left-wing hypochondriac in your life. It goes on. Frequent sanitization of common spaces and surfaces. Again, just feeding the feedback loop of hypochondria. And immediate access to the convention's accessibility coordinator. So if you needed to complain about them not doing enough to accommodate your hypochondria, you could just go directly to the convention's accessibility coordinator. Now, let me be clear. I disagree with the NDP on almost, if not literally, everything they stand for. However, say what you will about the NDP, and Lord knows that I have. They used to fashion themselves as a progressive, principled alternative to the Liberals, but now they prop up the Liberals. You know, all that liberal corruption you can't stand. If not rewarded, it's completely enabled by the NDP, who maintain the Liberal stranglehold on power by voting with the minority Liberals all the time in the House of Commons. You see, without the NDP, there's no Liberal government. And with the NDP, there would be no religious education in this country or any education system that considers parents' rights as the first best educators of their children, who know what's best for their kids without government intervention. Just look at this policy resolution from the weekend. It would have been a supplement to the party's existing human rights policy. It's the LGBTQ2S plus resolution from Davenport, whereas Section 6, Strengthening Human Rights and the Canadian Identity, Section 6-3, LGBTQI2S+, add a subsection M based on the following. Whereas Pride Month 2023 saw LGBTQ plus communities at schools across Canada targeted by sustained, organized, and well-resourced homophobic and transphobic violence, threats, and discrimination, be it resolved that in response to threats and acts of violence against Pride Week events and gender expression in schools and universities, that we condemn all forms of homophobia, transphobia, hate, bullying, bigotry, intimidation, and violence. Be it further resolved that we applaud the educators, school board trustees, parents, students, allies, and elected officials who refuse to be intimidated by homophobia and transphobia. Here's the rub. Be it further resolved that we proclaim a future NDP government would never grant public funds to educational institutions that harbor discriminatory practices. And let me be clear here. Their version of discriminatory practices is letting Christians be Christians, letting social conservatives be social conservatives, and letting parents know what the heck is going on in school. That to them, that's discrimination. I would say this all would have been a supplement to an existing policy, but the reason for that is that the party wasted so much time announcing their pronouns on the microphone that they didn't get any real work done.
We have equity speaking rules at this convention. If you identify with a gender other than man and you would like to identify for priority speaking, please have your yellow card with you.
Could I invoke gender parity in this discussion and also...
Excuse me, I was recognizing the delegate in purple ahead of you. And the answer to the question about whether you can invoke the gender equity rules is if you identify with a gender other than man, you may wave a yellow card at me and we will prioritize your speaking. Delegate on microphone 2 in purple, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm confused why you went to a con speaker that was male presenting when the previous speaker was male presenting. I think it's in our Constitution and our rules of order and chairing that we honor gender parity.
Well,
so I would like to speak.
I'll correct you there, Delegate. We have gender equity rules that require that as the chairperson, I balance pro and con speakers, but also when delegates identify themselves with yellow cards, they get priority. And it would be wrong of me to look at a delegate and determine anything about their identity. If delegates would like to identify themselves for the purposes of the equity speaking rules, I'll encourage you to get a yellow card.
Now, don't you think for a second that the provincial iterations of the NDP party are any different? It is all the same party based on the party structure. What that means is the NDP, wherever they are, they don't respect parents. Now, thank goodness they don't respect their own time either. For Rebel News, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. To sign our Rebel News petition calling on the sexual indoctrination of children in the nation's education system to end, please go to stopclassroomgrooming.com.